Okay, Habibis, we find ourselves with a fabulous snow day, and I know that you are so happy to be on a snow day. But you know also that I'm going crazy here at home because there are so many good things that I need to be doing with you in class. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to record a screencast of the mini lesson that we were going to do in writing class today. Actually, I'm only going to do a portion of it. I'm not even going to do the whole lesson. And I'm going to ask you, it's optional, but I'm going to ask you to watch this at home and go ahead and do what I'm about to model for you. And when you come into class tomorrow, and I pray that we have class tomorrow, if you chose to watch this and do this portion of the mini lesson, then you're just going to go ahead and jump right in with what came next in the lesson and move forward. People who chose not to watch this, they're going to have to get some headphones and watch this in class, and they're just not going to have as much class time to work on it as you do. So just to recap, in preparing to write our editorials, we're still in the planning phase, in the gathering ideas phase for writing the editorial. And I modeled for you on my chosen editorial topic of should student feedback be included in teacher performance evaluations. I already modeled for you how I brainstormed supporting arguments. These are the things that I could include in my editorial to back up my opinion and help persuade people to agree with me. We talked about the facts that students are like clients in a business, and if we value the comments and feedbacks of customers so that they keep coming back, shouldn't we also value the feedback of our clients, which is our students? We talked about the fact that students have the most contact with teachers during the day. They see us every day. You know what we're like every day, whereas our bosses, our principals or directors, they don't get to see us in action that much. So you really have a more complete picture. And then one that was suggested by a student that was a supporting argument was that maybe it would motivate some teachers to perform at their best in front of their students if they knew that those students would have a say in their evaluation. So you've already come up with your own supporting arguments. You've had some peers give you some feedback and suggest some supporting arguments for you. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to model the process for you of how to come up with counter arguments. Remember, strong editorials acknowledge the opposition's perspective and then refute it. And I expect you to do that in your editorial. But you're not just going to come up with one possible counter argument. I want you to brainstorm as many as possible. I want you to do that because you're going to have to choose the counter argument that you think you can do the best job refuting. And maybe the first one you come up with isn't going to be that one. So come up with a bunch and then decide which one you think is going to be the most persuasive and you can do the best job refuting. So let's get started. I'm going to put my counter arguments on my mind map off to the opposite side because they're the opposition. I know, it's amazing. Okay, so here's my new one. And when I was thinking about this idea for me of student feedback being part of a teacher's performance evaluation, I thought of teachers who would be scared by that idea or administrators who might not be open to that idea. And one counter argument I thought that those people might make to disagree with me is that students are not trained educators. They don't know what they're evaluating. They haven't gone through teacher training. They don't know all of the elements of a strong lesson plan because they haven't been taught how to write lesson plans. They don't necessarily understand why teachers do things the way they do things. So therefore, their feedback and evaluation of their teacher's performance is what we might call uninformed, or it's an uneducated opinion because they don't really understand everything that goes into good teaching, so they might not know why their teachers do what they do. So that's one counter argument. I'm just going to put it up here. Now, I'm not going to worry about refuting it just yet. I'm going to go on and come up with another counter argument. I'm going to keep on the same track. And the reason I'm not going to come up with a way to refute this yet is right now my counter argument juices are flowing, and I don't want to break that flow by getting stuck on this particular argument and refuting it. I just want to keep coming up with all of those things that people might say who are against me. Let's just keep those juices flowing, and then we can come back and refute later, okay? So going back to student feedback and teachers' performance evaluations, another thing that I thought my opposition might say to argue back with me and prove me wrong is, whoa, what about those students who just don't like us? There are some students who we just don't have a great relationship with. Maybe they don't like us, and they might skew our performance evaluation by writing a really negative review of us or a really biased evaluation just because they don't like us. So teachers might be afraid that students who don't like them would write a negative evaluation of their teaching, not because their teaching is bad, just because that student doesn't particularly like that teacher. So I'm going to add another node over here that expresses that counter argument. What should I say here? A biased or negative review that is not based on teaching skill, but instead is based on personality, or dislikes. Okay. So I've got two counter arguments right here that somebody might say back to challenge my position on this issue. What I want you to do right now is I want you to stop the screencast, and I want you to go back to your brainstorm, to your document where you brainstormed all of these excellent supporting arguments. Read them over one more time and try to put yourself in the shoes of someone who disagrees with you, who believes the opposite. What would they say? And I want you to brainstorm as many counter arguments as you can. I just did two here because I'm just showing you a model of my process. But I want you to try to come up with as many as you can. And after you come up with as many arguments as you can, then we can go in and start looking at how would I refute these arguments. But that's a different mini lesson. So right now, if you could just brainstorm as many counter arguments as you could, and if you have someone in your house today, a parent or an older sibling or somebody who might bounce some ideas off of them after you do your initial brainstorm, if you want them to kind of, well, maybe they can come up with another counter argument you didn't think of, that's fine too. All right. If you watch this and you're going to do it, I really appreciate it. And you're going to benefit from it because when we get into class, hopefully tomorrow, you're just ready to jump in and go to the next step in our lesson for writing our editorials. Enjoy your snow day.